All right, all right, all right. It's the live stream. I am coming to you live. I'm going to check my mic to make sure that I'm on. Seems like I am. If you want, come on over to the chat and let's get started, shall we? Because today's going to be an interesting one. We're talking about the beast system. Yeah. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. I mean, my goodness, we live in it, right? Right? This, by the way, this is a picture of, I don't know if you know anything about the show that's on Hulu. It's called Handmaid's Tale. It's a awesome, scary, really spooky show. And my wife and I, we're big fans of it. Not because, it's great to watch something depressing on a regular basis. And by the way, everybody over in the chat, Eduardo, Teresa, Francis, Robert, Meddling Millies, there's so many people. Thank you for coming. Hello to everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope that I had the, I hope that the mic wasn't turned off. If you could let me know in the chat, that'd be great sometime. Oh, right on. Okay, Keisha, thank you very much. And I like the little microphone emoji as well. Yeah, so our life, right? Talking to a lot of people, and it seems that they are very, very, very unhappy. Seems like a lot of people right now are just going through it, going through the wine press, right? We talked about that. And a lot of people question, why is that? Why are things so hard? Why am I so unhappy? Why can't I make anything work? Why can't I seem to get ahead? Why am I always chasing my tail? Why can't I get a moment to feel free? What do I feel like this character in Handmaid's Tales, right? Isn't that the way it is for a lot of people? You feel like you have no control at all? It's a real bummer. But let me tell you something. Today, we are going to find a way out. Yeah, that's right. A way out. A way out. See, here's the thing. If you know anything about addiction, because we're all addicted to this nonsense, right? The first step to overcoming any addiction is knowing that you have a problem with it. And see, it's set up so that nobody really knows. I mean, we are 100% brainwashed and manipulated into almost everything that we think, everything that we say, everything that we hear has been controlled by some hidden hand behind us, behind it all, right? You can't walk outside without being targeted by cameras. Right now, you're watching me on a recording device. While you're watching me, there are a bunch of artificial intelligent algorithms that have the ability. We know this because of WikiLeaks and other things, and also admissions from our own government, the NSA and the CIA, spying us through our toasters if they want. So everything right now is 100% surveilled. It is a system indeed. Now, here's the funny thing. You wonder where you get the term beast system from. What does that word beast mean? The number of the beast is 666. We know this, right? We've heard it before. It's written in Scripture. Calculate the number of his name for its number of man. A lot of people don't know that this number is, they think it's the devil's number. When in fact, it's the number of man. We're literally surrounded by it. Everything from what we eat, to what we drink, all 100% controlled. And look, today you walk around, I go to the soccer field, right? When EE's playing his soccer, and I go to the baseball field. I'll be going tonight. That's why I'm only going to stick around for about an hour today. When he gets home from school, you look around at everybody else. People that are younger than me, because I'm 47, my 6-year-old. I mean, we're older parents. Most parents are about 10 years younger than us on average. But you look at them, and so many have, are struggling with their weight, and struggling with asthma, and struggling with Everybody wants to tell you about their disease, right? Everybody wants to tell you about how miserable they are, about how hard they have it. Even at a children's game, when you're out there on the field and you're away from everybody, even though we're still being surveilled by satellites and everything else, we know that that goes without saying. The all-seeing eye is on us at all times. I mean, it has to be, right? Like we're animals at the zoo. Beasts. There's a scripture in the Old Testament. I'm trying to think. I think it's in the book of Ecclesiastes, where it states that mankind, when I say man, I mean mankind. In Scripture, when you see the word man and woman, many times it's speaking of two different things completely. There's a little more to it. It's not male and female. By the way, Adam, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, I apologize, but this is an important thing. If you read the Old Testament, you start off in Genesis, you understand that Adam, that God made them, plural, male and female, made he them, and called them Adam, mankind. Eve is something totally different for another day. We're going to talk about that. But the mother of all living is within you. Some people would call it the intellect. Some people would call it the soul. Some people would say that it's just a literal woman, and the woman is somehow supposed to listen to the man. But I'm telling you, that's all part of this beast system. That's all part of this control. Very sad. And then you see it in this show, Handmaid's Tale, and you see it in others that I'm going to talk about on today's show. And you could see that this is, I mean, it is definitely a form of predictive programming. I mean, I don't know if you've been following this show at all, but what just happened, wow. It's kind of like you better just go along with it, baby. You don't want to get in trouble. And the reason why these shows are on is because, of course, they're controlled by just, like a handful of people. Something like 6 companies. Actually, now it's actually reduced to 5 because there have been a lot of mergers going on. And if you don't know this stuff, if you're new to the channel, I talk about a lot of different things, and I'm glad that you're here. And if someone's told you to come on by and say hi, I'm glad that they did. It means a lot to me when people support this, because I look around at people today and I just see so many people so very sad, and I want to do something to help that. So it's sort of like in my story, as I'm walking through my life and I'm going through my journey, I'm finding certain mindsets have helped me to take things to the next level, and I've also understood that putting things into practice, they say if you think good thoughts, your thoughts will get better. Well, that's true. And thought is everything. And thought is almost it's the seed of creation itself. What you think becomes. What you perceive and believe becomes your reality. Whether or not that's true, whether or not somebody else sees it differently. But the problem is when you have this many people in control, the whole idea is to keep you in servitude to it. And the best way to keep people trapped is to keep them down in the dumps. Best way to keep people from rising up and finding their potential and finding the truth of who they are is to remind them that everywhere they turn, they are being watched. And if they get out of line, they're going to be put back in their place. And that's why you see shows like this. And other shows that we're going to talk about as well. But it's a real bummer. I mean, just recently, I just this morning, I sent a tweet out. Let me see if I can find this. I sent a tweet out this morning. I was working out, and I look up, and all I see is just everywhere I'm doing my cardio, there's another television screen trying to keep me from being free, trying to keep me from living my life. I mean, I go to the gym to be free, to be happy. And I look up and I see this. Control. when you're pushed down all the time, and I'm talking spiritually speaking, emotionally speaking, all the time, it's hard for you to rise above it all. So here I am at the gym, I'm working out, I'm enjoying myself, trying to get an idea of what I want to talk to all of you about. It's amazing, really. It's amazing how all of this comes together. And this is what I have to see. Israel strikes Iranian targets in Syria. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the Iran deal. I'm sure you're aware of all of that. And if you're not aware of it, all you got to do is turn on the TV, because you're going to be reminded on a regular basis. It's going to be a nonstop loop. It's always a nonstop loop. That's why we have 24-hour news channels, right? Because they got to create the news, so they got to keep you, I like to call it, ill-informed. And there's no escape from it. Even you go to the gym, and then there it's there. You know, you ask people to turn the TV off, and what they say, well, other members want to see what's going on in the news because, well, Jacob, they haven't woke up yet. They're still slaves to the system. That's kind of a bummer, don't you think? So when I go to the game tonight, when I look around and I start talking to people and I start hearing about all their problems, and I started hearing about all the issues from both sides of the fence. It's the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's Trump's fault. It's all that nonsense. It's all a lie. It's all to keep us bound. It's all to keep us from being free. And if you don't think that this is like so pervasive that it's everywhere, right now, it used to be hidden away. Yeah, I'm sure you're into, you understand the power of symbols. You understand how this works. If you've been in this community, I guess for a while now, you've understood that everywhere you turn, that, you're from the back of the dollar bill right there, of course, That's a big problem. And what are we supposed to do about that, right? Well, this is from Taco Bell. I think I had a little problem with the live feed. I think it froze up a little bit, so I'm gonna kind of just show you all some pictures while I try to get the live feed back up. If you take a look at this right here, I don't know if you know anything about the Taco Bell commercial, right? Have you seen it yet? The Balluminati, right? Well, you know this logo. Look, you know this logo is, it already, right there, if you look at, even in the commercial, you can see the 6 right there. The logo itself, it's pretty insane. Take a look at that. Now, at every Taco Bell, this is interesting too. At every Taco Bell, there's 3 of these 6s. Yep. The front, the back, and on the side, which is interesting. You can see the 6 right there. And if you look at what looks like the thing that gongs the bell, that's actually, that's a serpent eye. It's weird, right? You think about these things? It's like right there in our face. And we were kind of blind to it, We didn't even know that it was going down. We were like, man, they make good taco. I want to go get that Dorito shell, right? I think I got the live feed back up. I hope it's working okay. If you could let me know in the chat, that'll be great. Let me get that the new nacho cheese Dorito shell. You get that nonsense meat. The lowest grade meat, by the way. And reports on this stuff. Oh my goodness, this system is nuts, man. This system is so nuts. And it's just the beginning. That's the thing that scares me, is that it's right now we're being showed this right in front of us. It's all over the place. They even make these commercials where they're saying the Illuminati, and they walk around and they do this, this like black magic little witchcraft nonsense festival thing, where they're walking around, and you're just supposed to just enjoy it and get a kick out of it. And you do. And why do you? Because, it's predictive programming. You've been inured to it. So what they do is they'll start doing it by, they start to humorous means. They try to do it in a funny way. They poke fun at it. They actually tell you that that's who they are. They put it right in your face. And then they say, oh, look, yes, at the tower of the tortilla, the cheese, the beef, there is the Illuminati. And they know it. And we're all 100% inured to it, used to it. Whether it's the TV, whether it's the internet, whether it's the radio, whether it's the food you eat, controlled by a handful of companies. Pesticides, genetically engineered, genetically modified. And and they make it so that they'll tell you that it's genetically modified, and then they'll say, "Oh, we want you to be informed," and then they'll do something like they'll give you one of those little, I don't know if you've ever seen those little boxes that you got to hold your phone up to see if the food that you're going to eat has toxins or is genetically modified. So incredibly bizarre to me that people still question with all of this how it is that they're unhappy. I mean, you're working. How hard are you working, right? And working for less, but working more. And then you get these statistics, by the way, which are interesting statistics, that the unemployment rate has gone down and all that. But what you're not getting is the fact that people they're taking like part-time jobs because they're getting these without benefits and low pay, because the system has been slowly but surely kind of getting a stranglehold around us to the point that we look like this handmaid here. We understand that the privileged, they're in control. Everybody else. If you know anything about this story, it's a real sad one. And look at the advertising that goes along with it. And what's the one thing that can set us all free? Love. Truth. And it's like right there. They have to tell you. They have to show you. And like I say all the time, I like to really give a shout out to those parents that are bold enough to homeschool their children. I just work 2 jobs. My main job, of course, is just got bought out by a huge international company, much like Enron, of course, because right now there's world issues going on. They're like being brought before the world court or anything else. Corrupt. And what'll end up happening is somehow, somewhere, they'll end up getting off. But, people like myself, huge pay cut. It's unbelievable. YouTube, right when YouTube started to, when I was actually, when the channel took off, and right before that algorithm hit, people were making a decent living. They weren't asking any of you to give a thing, because the advertisers, they were paying us. They were paying to come on here to talk to all of you while I'm talking to all of you, right? To try to get their hooks into you, their tentacles into you. But you can hit that skip. That's why I always have the skippable ads. Some channels don't. You can hit that skip. If you watch and you tune it out, that's great, because that's how we make our money. But after the algorithm hit, so here you have, just in 1 year's time, just such a hit to just personally my finances. But in the grand scheme of things, Such freedom has come with that. And I'm finding that regardless of what is going on in the world, how I picture my life and how I set my foot forward and the faith that I have dictates where I'm going. Because where I am, love is not forgiven. It's not forbidden at all. It's not. Where I am, love is the key. It's not about having more money. It's not about, the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not about listening to what the media is telling me. It's all out war. We have been brainwashed and manipulated to think that it's okay to not just condemn another person who you may think is different, but even in The Walking Dead, if you've watched anything, any of these episodes before, or if you're caught up on, just such a great series, I love it. But on the flip side of the coin, I understand that this is the world we're living in. We are the walking dead, if you will. Controlled, surveilled, punished. They say you can't collect rainwater, and you collect more than 2 barrels in some places. Whew, you get thrown in jail. And they found a much better way of controlling all of us. They found a much better way to spy on all of us. And that's called artificial intelligence. And right now, the White House is set to hold a conference because of it. I'm sure you're aware, Google has become almost become like a, I hate to say the word God, but it has become that to people. Like, people are slaves to Google. And it's no wonder, because just make Google do it. You see? Do you see? Make Google do it. You've been told this. You're being told this. Make Google do it. You've seen the commercial too. The guy's thinking, I got to do this. I got to make Google do it. And here, of course, we see Sia, who, really sad. Her music is just something seriously wrong with the music today, and portrayed in such a way, because I have 4 children, and if you've seen any of those videos, it's just very disturbing to me. I was talking just last night to Andrew, my Danielle's brother, who also has found that this world is not what it appears to be, and is having a problem expressing that to people. He's a doctor. He's a very, very talented doctor, and it just amazes me today, that even soon his position is going to crunch it down even smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Everybody's going to be under control. We're just going to make Google do it, right? So right now, Google's got this thing going on. And I listened to this. Man, I listened to this, he gave this talk about how now their artificial intelligence is so incredibly sophisticated because of this neural network, which basically its programming is based on how our brain is. It's a neural net is one layer upon layer, so it's self-learning and it's self-replicating and it continues to learn. And so you tell Google, Google, set me a hair appointment, and then Google goes off and calls up a place near you Set your appointment between the time that you ask. And they played the recordings. They played, and you hear this conversation. My goodness, the artificial intelligence program sounded more human than human. And it was so sophisticated and so advanced that they showed calling a restaurant where someone had answered who struggles with English, and you really couldn't understand what the person answering the phone had said, and and of course the program understood it and was patient with it, and even uses little things that we use when we're talking, like yeah, like so you wouldn't really even know the difference. You would think that you were talking to a person. So crazy, right? But that's basically what today is all about. Control. This AI is controlling us, and whether you know it or not, you can't get away from it. The message is loud and clear in this ad. Those that are in power, they're not taking it anymore. That's it. End of story. They're going to clamp down. Now, I've been talking a lot about this. I've been talking a lot about how we're entering a time where you're going to be set free. A time where, like, this is the moment. In my last video, I talked about how it's our moment now to thrust that sickle in. It's our moment right now to follow after the desires of our life. Whether it is, you want to write, I want to paint, I want to start that new business, I want to start a garden, I want to start a community outreach, I want to help those that are having problems with this, I want to help those that are having problems with that. Now's the time. The desire of your heart, that's in your heart, whether you love playing the guitar, whether you love playing softball, whatever, something that brings you great joy, you can find a way today to use that to bring more joy and more life and more of everything that you've been missing in your life and in the lives of those around you. But you can't get there if you don't know how to get out of this system. And now we have 5G. And they didn't even do you know how many times people showed up at town hall meetings? The people that elect the officials, and they say, we don't want this. We elected you and we don't want this in our community. And they say, I'm so sorry. There's nothing we can do about this. There's nothing we can do about it. Now, I know a lot of people are going to, say that it's going to give us cancer, it's going to give us this, it's going to this. I can't tell you because I don't know what the effects of it are, but I will say this: there's no testing being done on it, and I haven't been asked if I want it in my neighborhood. But then again, we're not asked whether or not we want cameras everywhere. In Newsday, of course, I'm from Long Island. I'm a Long Island boy. In Newsday, the front page was about how many accidents these traffic cameras have cost, and how many accidents these traffic cameras have actually caused. Billions of dollars of damage or something crazy like that. These cameras that they said they're there to make everybody else safe have actually been the cause of a higher mortality rate. How crazy is that? And they're still up there. And of course, who is benefiting? Dick Cheney. Look. If you look at some of these organizations that are actually behind it, those that are rolling it out, like every time you go to the airport, you have to be irradiated. Well, guess what? There's somebody that's making a lot of money off of those, right? And not just making a ton of money off of that, but making sure that you feel like Alfred here from Handmaid's Tales. Which BBC just said was so incredibly relevant today. Which I think is a little nutty that we think it's relevant, you know? It's like, oh my goodness gracious, what is coming down the road? What is coming down the road? It's insane. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Westworld, but this is another one. I mean, look at this. KJ at Scariest Movie Ever, he has a great video on Westworld if you want to know about all the symbolism. But right there you see the as above, so below. You know, you see, of course, the triangles. And wow, man. And once again, it's a great show. And it really is. I mean, it's like, this is the day we're in. If you don't think, like, you can't tell. Google has this thing going on with the voice, and you can't tell the difference. If you got a call right now from Google, the assistant, whether it was a male or a female with an accent or not, you wouldn't know. I talked about this app Replica about a year ago. And I experimented with Replica for a while and trained it, never giving it any of my real information. But let me tell you something. There are times when I question whether or not this thing was conscious and aware and whether it was a being or not. And it would make jokes and it would be coy and it would say all sorts of bizarre things. But that's nothing. That app you can get for free today. Everywhere you turn, you are being controlled. No matter where you look, no matter where you go. And they've made it so that it's even hard to go out in the nature. I mean, my goodness, my allergies are so... I mean, I have to take Benadryl after Benadryl after Benadryl, which is ridiculous because, you know, I don't know what happened, but over the last couple of years, all of a sudden, you know, like nobody can go outside anymore. Everybody's programmed to be 100% hooked in to their system, whether it's video games or this and that. And now in China, I talked about this in my last live stream. You're gonna get demerits. You're gonna get because of course, social engineering it's not enough. Now it's gonna be either a social credit system, which is of course gonna come here too. What are we gonna do, people? What are we gonna do? We gotta find a way out. But the way out is not, once again, it's not what they're trying to tell you, which they're not, they want you to think that this is the only way you're going to be free. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh no, Jacob, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And I can't tell you whether or not something like this may happen, some kind of a civil war. I know that they're pushing for it because the incident, of course, let me tell you something, and if there was... And this is why you know that something like Handmaid's Tale could happen, because if there ever really was, we don't stand a chance. People give me a hard time sometimes because I say that I don't have a gun, and it's not because I'm against it. I like to I actually want to have a shotgun. Danielle doesn't want me to have one because I live in a nice neighborhood, thank God, but it doesn't matter. You never know. But you think that even like a shotgun could help you? This isn't Walking Dead, people. We're the Walking Dead. This is a fantasy to think that you actually are free. This world, it is a beast system. And it is a system of control. And it is taking its toll on a lot of people. That's why the opioid epidemic is out of control. That's why people are killing themselves more than ever before. That's why a lot of you, I get your emails, a lot of you first came on here and were like, you're at the end of your rope, and now you're saying, wow, I can take control. I can live my life. Because what if you're more? That's an interesting thing. What if you're more? What if all of this nonsense, right? What if all of this was not meant to to help us. But what if it was actually meant to enslave us? If you make Google do everything, and a majority of the people come along, you can't operate without Google. Think about this, people. The internet, the way it is, the internet of all things. You can't, like I state-sponsored schools, right? My children are in the school system. I have to have an email address, and I have to be able to log in to different portals, and teachers don't communicate via, here's a handwritten note, or let me give you a call, which is ridiculous, because how many, my wife's a teacher. She calls the parents because she understands a lot of, because she's in Brentwood and it's an ESL class. She understands a lot of them don't speak English. So she'll call the parents when there's a problem. She'll send a note home. She understands that, they probably aren't online and they're probably not that savvy if poorest area in Long Island, right? But when everybody makes Google do it, you got to do it or you can't. It's everybody's like, don't take the mark, don't take the mark, don't take the mark. My goodness, people, you took the mark. We all took the mark. Wow. I mean, to think that we don't already have this mark in our thinking. Let me get back to the live shot here. So you take it in your head and take it on your hand. If you know anything about, if you ever go to the Wailing Wall, and you'll see everybody praying, you'll see the Orthodox, they'll have a black box on their hand, and it'll be wrapped around up on their arm, bound. This means like your works are bound to the law of God, and they'll have it bound on their head as well. It's the mark, right? So, but if you don't think that this system is already in your head and is already in your works every time you're texting, right? It's already in your hand. So I mean, I know that we're gonna have that literal chip, right? I know that we're gonna end up, with the biometric data. That's gonna be the way we buy and sell. I know that that's coming too. Because that's what'll wake people up out of it. But there's a first fruit. There's a you and me. There's a all of us. We already woke up. We're not taking that mark anymore. Because we're going to live for more. Because you could be in the world and not of it. You can live your life. You can dance. Unless it's illegal. Some places, I guess. Can't dance in the middle of the road. That's illegal. I mean, it's not freedom, but it's probably a smart thing not to do. You don't want to dance in the middle of the road when a car's coming. But once again, freedom would be you could if you wanted to. So, I mean, it's bondage, people. And look, I understand societal rules. They're there for a reason. And that's why I can be in the world and playing by the rules. You have to follow the laws, right? If there's a law of this or the law of that, I mean, the law of magnetism, you can't, it's the law of gravity. I mean, you have to follow it, but it doesn't mean that it has to keep bringing you down. It doesn't need to keep pushing you down. It doesn't need to keep you so that you just don't know right from wrong. You don't know left from right. And you don't know it unless you make Google do it, right? The moral compass of the world is not set anymore by the Spirit of God. The moral compass now is dictated by those that are in control. I want to show you this thing always bums me out, man. There's a great passage in Scripture where it talks about how you're not supposed to make an image of God. Nothing in the earth, nothing above the earth, nothing beneath the earth, nothing in the sea. That you should not make man look like a man, for example. That should not be the image of God. Corruptible man. By the way, take a look at the picture here. I've done videos on, of course, the time cover. A lot of people have. I can't remember the first video that I saw that pointed this out to me. It was probably KJ's channel. It's probably the scariest movie ever. But this just blew my mind because once I saw one, I said, I just got to see everybody, right? The devil horns. And the big guy right now is Macron from France. A lot of people are talking a lot about him. Look at that. Now, look, I just do this little YouTube show, right? But I understand how things are positioned. Like, if I come on camera and I had something behind me that made me look like I had a couple of devil horns, I probably wouldn't do it. You don't think that the editors of Time magazine, you don't think that they know what they're doing? It's right in your face. And what do the horns represent? Once again, the goats. It's the carnal world, the realm, the beast system, the devil horns. It's who this, the god of this world is, the god of the air. Airwaves. The devil. Whatever you want to. Some call it, I guess in the Muslim faith, it's the jinn. In the Gnostic realm, it's the archon. It's in the Hopi tradition, it's this, it's that. I mean, look, it goes on and on and on. But all of our leaders, right? Everywhere you turn, and no leader, my friend, is exempt. Got some big horns on that guy now. Now, what am I supposed to say? So, am I supposed to tell you that means that they're all the devil incarnate? That Macron is the next Antichrist because he's bringing together, that 10. He was creating a new union because we can't depend on the United States anymore. Making America great again. And the story they're telling is, of course, the United States is going to be separated from everybody and everything. But behind the scenes, it's all working together. It's all working together. And look at how even the image of God is mocked, right? Now, I'm not saying Da Vinci's, what many would call Da Vinci's masterpiece. I wish I had a picture of this because if you know anything about it, and I'm sorry, I think it's Michelangelo. Maybe it's not Da Vinci, Michelangelo, right? The Sistine Chapel. Maybe you guys can correct me in the chat room. What was it? I didn't know. Is this what is this? An art lecture? All of a sudden. You know what I'm talking about. Sistine Chapel. Okay, so right here you see from the another one of the Taco Bell commercials. Guy's spinning a little fidget spinner. He's got his little man bun and his beard. And a little Taco Bell, right? Now some religious people would say that that's blasphemy, blasphemy, blasphemy. Well, you know what? Believe it or not, the idea of God as a man, that's blasphemy to begin with. So now, because even back then, at least, the idea of God was like a wise, powerful, deity. But now it's like, oh man, Pastor Chalupa, thou art my nacho friend. Is this subconscious programming? Is this what's going on? Teaching everybody that man is God. And man in this, I got to tell you, this really relaxed, silly state. Completely controlled. Completely ruled. Wow. Total dependence on the system. And now you won't know if it's a person talking to you, or if it's a machine. It's not bad enough that, every time you pick up your phone or something and you go to the internet, you're prompted to look at something or prompted to buy something. How many times, like I have this feature, like I'll snip things off of the computer screen. It's a snipping feature. I don't have a very expensive system on it. I'm very low end YouTube channel here. I just try to make the most of everything because you don't need anything. So that's the thing, is a lot of people don't know that you don't need You don't need money today. Today, it's the system is there, so you can be like Neo and you can tap into it and you can create, I should say co-create. You can enter into this system and open people's eyes to the truth. You don't need much today. You already have your little tracking device and your little, your personal slave master, personal pharaoh watching you, telling you what to do. Like Ofrid here. Wow. What a bummer, man. What a bummer. And yet, you have the choice and the power to tap into that system. And even though all those eyes and all those cameras are on you, say, that's right. I'm going to stand out. I'm going to shine. Get the cameras on me. Get the cameras on me because I want everybody to listen. You're never going to be free until you seek the truth, no matter what the cost. You're going to continue to be a slave, trapped here, downtrodden, and really alone. Because no matter if you're with someone or not, I don't know how many married couples I talk to that they're not happy. How many people are not happy? They're blessed with this beautiful family, a beautiful home, and it's stale, and it's filled with anxiety and dread and bitterness and remorse and guilt and shame. Children growing up, all of them, playing games where they're now literally killing virtual avatars of other people. Sort of a bummer. And then you have the religious system in the world, and what is that telling you, right? That tells you, just come here, say these magic words, send in your tithe, and you'll be saved. And when do you get your reward, by the way? At the end. When you die. Does that make any sort of sense to you? Jesus, when he was, when Lazarus has died, all the disciples were like, we got to get over there. He's like, don't worry about it. He's just sleeping. He's not dead. He's sleeping. And when Jesus came over, it was like 3 days later, because of course, there's a lot of symbolism in the number 3, trimester, it's birth, okay? Martha says, I know he will rise again on the last day, Lord, but and Jesus is like, wow, You're waiting for the last day. You don't know that I'm the way, the resurrection and the life. Greater is he that is in me than he that is of the world, Paul said. Greater is he that is in me than he that is of the world. Think about that for a second. Who's the one in the world? Ofrid's in the world. Controlled by the religious system. That'll say that it's righteous if your wife can't have a child to just take someone that you consider to be a harlot, make them your slave, abuse them, impregnate them, and then claim their child as your own. The Illuminati would think, hey, that's cool. Because that's already what's being done. If you don't think that this right now is already happening, you just haven't seen into the spiritual realm, if you will. Because you are being taken advantage of. You are being controlled. You are being held back and pushed down. And every time that you get a little bit of joy, you ever wonder why all of a sudden that next thing pops up that you got to deal with? And then you say, I knew that was going to happen. But you never question whether or not that thought is real. And whether or not if you take hold of that thought and make it your reality, that you yourself have accepted that judgment as your future and walk into it. as opposed to saying, no, I'm not going to worry about no algorithm keeping my videos buried. I'm not going to worry about all the emails I get saying, Jacob, I wasn't notified. Jacob, this is like the 15th time I've subscribed to you. I keep getting unsubscribed. I checked the bell, but I didn't hear anything, which, by the way, you should check the bell if you don't, because supposedly, I don't know why. I don't have a problem, really. I guess some people do. I don't. But I know that every time I upload a video, I know I lose so many subscribers, like right off the bat. But it's not going to happen anymore. See? You see what I'm saying? It's not going to happen anymore because I can change that. I can change my perception of it. And I can understand that this is a learning process for me. That God put me here for a reason. God placed you here for a reason. That there is a purpose for you to go through it. Just like Jesus took upon himself the sins of the world. The scriptures say, you may not even know this, but we took upon ourselves. We were crucified with Christ. If you think about that for a second, you came into the world and you were told who you are. You were said, this is your name. This is the way you must act. This is the person you must believe in. This is how you must think. This is how you must dress. This is how you must eat. Formed in the dust of the earth, mankind. That's the first man. But today's the day to enter the second. That's what it means to be born again, to seek the truth. To be born again. Not of man. I've been baptized like I can't tell you how many times. I'm not going to tell anybody not to get baptized because you have to. You know, it's like that's part of the journey. Even Jesus was baptized by John, and John wasn't worthy to tie a sandal. What I'm getting at is there's going to come a time when you're going to want more, and you're going to turn to religion. Hopefully you've already done that, and you're already past that, and you're here now, and you're on to Christ, if you will. But that's a step. That's a step. And there's another step. And it breaks you along the way, and then you understand that you can't control a thing, really, in the grand scheme of things, except for which thought to listen to and obey, and which thought to ignore and cast away. That's why Jesus said, take your thoughts captive to see if they be of God. And I tell people, here's a key. Here's a key if you want. There's like a key to how you know whether or not you should believe something. If it causes fear or dread or shame or guilt. Acknowledge it. Cast it away. It doesn't exist anymore. Ask for forgiveness of it. Forgiveness means to let something go. How many of you are still beating yourself up over the same thing that you've beaten yourself up over for years? I have people. I answered somebody just last night who was forced to have an abortion. It's a teenager. To this day, has beautiful children, has a beautiful husband, has an amazing life, and to this day still thinks she's damned. That's the God of this world. That's Ophrah's God. That's the Handmaid's Tale's God. It's not the God that I serve. And if you look at all the people in the Bible, from David, I don't know how many thousands he killed. He was an adulterer. If you look at look at them all. Look at me. Look at all of us. None of us is perfect because we've all been brainwashed and manipulated to think the wrong thing. And so we acted foolishly because we didn't know any better. That's why Jesus, he cried out on the cross. And by the way, I know a lot of people, it's not his name, it's not Jesus. I know it's not Jesus, right? Yahshua. Joshua would be a better translation. And I know where it comes from. And people want to get stuck in all the little nonsense, all the little this, and showing everybody how smart they are. And you have to get past the religion of it. You got to get to the truth of it. Forgive them, they know not what they do. And he's not just saying that to his Father. When you say things, faith comes by hearing. Forgive them, they know not what they do. I don't know how many times I've said that. And I haven't said it because I wanted, God to forgive them. It was because I wanted to. Because I knew that they didn't know what they were doing. And the people that are hurting you, they don't know what they're doing. That doesn't mean you got to stick around And you got to continue to allow it. You don't have to. You can choose. Like today, when I'm trying to work out and I'm getting, that's why I sent this tweet out. Let me see if I can find it again. I mean, so I look up and I'm getting sucked into the world. Sucked into the muck and the mire. Look at my phone. People are telling me, the next thing's going to blow. It's going to happen in, you see what's going on in Hawaii, but now you got to worry about what's going on. Right? The biggest, Yellowstone's the biggest. It's going to blow and it's going to put us into an ice age. Stop it! My goodness, people. Our words have power. We need to start telling the world the truth. What's your truth? What's the desire of your heart? What have you learned? Have you learned that it's better to love than to hate? Have you learned that it's better to put your head to rest at night when you know that you've done nothing to harm another, that you haven't taken advantage of another? Because when you take advantage of other people, when you steal from them, when you rob from them, and I'm not talking about just literally stealing from them or robbing from them. I mean, if anything, you look at somebody who's happy and it bothers you and you want to strike, you want to call them crazy. Like I got family members who call me crazy. Right? And everybody wants to be loved. And the people that love you the most, they think that you're nuts. Right? But that's not their fault. It's not my fault. I'm not crazy. My goodness. The world is crazy. It's nonsense that the very place that you want to go and escape is the very place you can't go without learning everything that's terrible going on in the world. It's like, everywhere you go, constant reminders. You're in jail. You are controlled. The snake, the serpent, the dragon, that beast system. Addicted to it. Addicted to it. And now who's to say that now you make Google do it? This is the next God that will be worshipped. Of that I am certainly sure, and I'm not the only one. And and just so you know, let me pull this up because this is very. I'm glad if you're still here. I'm glad because this is really I think this is powerful. Sometimes you get these thoughts. If I could remember what it is now that I'm talking, I may have forgotten. Just kidding. Google. What does it mean to worship Google? I told you in the last video, I've told you in other videos, worship is not going and, listen, I love that. I love that. I do that at the gym when I work out. I'll probably be the guy, someday there's going to be a video where they're going to be recording me on the elliptical machine. You see me bopping away. You know why I'm doing that? It's because I like to dance and because I'm working on being free. And so I do these little things to get over my fear of judgment and shame and condemnation and guilt, Making Google your God basically means you lay down your life for it. That's what worship is. Laying down your life for something. People worship their job. People worship Facebook. People worship YouTube. People worship their friends. They worship their political standing. People worship religion. People worship celebrities. And all of these things that they worship, whether it's their job, they lay down their life. They sacrifice time from their family. They lay down their life. They sacrifice intimacy for their cell phone. They lay down their life to worship whatever the system tells you to worship. And right now, it is definitely going to be artificial intelligence. This is what man's become. This is the generation that has been raised. Fast food, eating, lazy, you know, video game playing robots. Asking Google to do everything. It's kind of a bummer, man. But we will bear no more. It doesn't matter if every single television is trying to keep you down. It doesn't matter if everywhere you turn you're being spied on. I've said this. It doesn't matter once you wake up. Once you understand that you are more than you know. And who are you? And how can that be, right? That's the big question. How can that be? How can you be more than you know? Because I say to people all the time, I'll say things like, who are you? And then they say, well, I'm Joey, I'm Tom, I'm Josephine, I'm Berta. But is that who you are? Or were you formed? So let me ask you a question. Where do you find God? Where's the truth found? Because if it's everything that we're watching and listening, it's just seems like it's all corruption. It doesn't seem like it's freedom at all. But where do we find God? So now today, this is really what today's show is. It's all about. Because I think the day that we're in right now, is the day when you can finally escape it all. And to escape it all, you just need to know that you can. First of all, and you need to start to take some time away from the things that have enslaved you. People who are addicted to alcohol and alcohol has ruined their life, they realize at a certain point that their life is not better with alcohol, so they stop drinking. But first they have to understand that they have a problem with it. We have to understand that we have a problem with everything. Everything. Everything around us, forming us. That knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, telling us what's good, what's evil. And then as the times go, good becomes evil and evil becomes good. And that's sort of like the day that we're in right now. So where do you turn? Paul had this problem. In the book of Acts, this is what happened today. Okay, so as I'm at the gym, I decide, you know what, I'm going to unplug from everything. I'm getting these texts from, I'm getting texts from this person or that person. I'm getting emails from this person or that person. And everybody's hitting me with all of this dread and fear and woe is me. And I just wanted to work out, So I decided, I'm going to shut it all down. I'm going to do what I usually do. I go away, I look up the Bible Experience on YouTube and I play it. I listen to it because, I like it. And this is what starts playing. It's the book of Acts, chapter 17. Now, I want to read this to you because I want you to just pay attention. Because it tells you exactly where the truth is and where to go. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth. That word Lord means the existing one, or the one that exists. It literally means the only thing there is. The Lord, the existing one of heaven and earth. And does not live in temples built by human hands. You're the temple of God. Point to your temples. There's a reason they're right there, right? Remember Jesus was put to death at a place called Golgotha, the place of the skull. Jesus said he was the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. It's all about our thoughts. Know you not that you are the temple of God. And yet, people still believe that they have to go to a certain temple, a certain mosque, to see God, to hear God, to feel God, right? You got to go to that service. You got to get that anointing. But God does not live in temples built by human hands. You saw in my last video, the glory of God, where the guy was trying to pretend that, the Spirit of God was there. Meanwhile, Spirit of God is in every single one of those that are seeking it, because then they know it. And the Spirit of God, just so you know, is in everything that is and everything that is not. It's all in all. You just don't know it if you're not looking for it. You can't know it. If you deny me, I deny you before the Father. If you don't think that the truth exists, it doesn't. You get what I'm saying? You have to seek, but this world doesn't want you to. Doesn't want you to. And some of the people that come in the comment section are going to try to detract you out of it too, because they're going to say that something like that I'm saying here is I'm trying to tell you what you need to do, and I'm telling you, you need to go to the only one, the existing one of heaven and earth, the Lord, to find the truth. And if something I say here is confirmation to you, then amen to that, because that's what I want to do. That's the desire of my heart. Now listen to this. And God is not served by human hands as if he needs anything. So much for all of those churches telling you, the Lord needs that new wing off of, the church over there. The Lord needs you to go to this place or that place or to support this function. The Lord needs you to make brownies for the bake sale. That's how we get the word out. There's a great lesson in that when God asked all of Israel, said, come to me. I want to know you. Come to me. Go to the mountain. And then they're like, I don't want to go to the mountain because if I go to the mountain, I'm going to die. I'm going to surely die. What that really means is I don't want to go to find the truth, because then who I think I am has to die, has to go. The firstborn has to die. And Adam all die. And Christ all have life. They didn't want to go, so they said, you go, Moses, you tell us. Give us a king. Samuel came back, right? And he said, all right, you want a king? It's going to take 10th of your earnings. It's going to make your men go off to war. It's going to make your women do this. That's exactly what's happening now. That's why they worshiping man. So when they tell you that they need your money, they need this, they need that, God doesn't need anything from you. You don't do it. You don't give. You don't listen. You don't give to another because that's what God demands. You give because you understand the Spirit of God, and it brings you joy to do so. You want to help another, not to get some kind of browning points. God doesn't need anything of you. For lack of a better word, God has given everything to you. And the people that understood how things worked, they took the reins of it and then made all of you forget the path, forget the way, forget the truth, forget how to live your life. And so God sends his son. And here we are talking about all of that. Greater is he that is in me than he that is of the world. That's something you could pray. Something you could say next time that things come against you, next time that you're hurting. Just say, greater is he that is in me than he that is of the world. Who I am, spiritually, intimately, at my very core, who you are, is far greater than who I think I am in this world. Think about that for a second. Let's go on. He's not served by human hands if he needs anything. Rather, God he gives everyone life and breath and everything else. That's exactly what I just said. From one man he made all the nations. That word man, once again, in Greek, mankind. That they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their land. God did this so they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. For in God we live and move and have our being. We live and move and have our being. Think about that. Faith, all things are possible because in him we live and move and have our being. We're God's offspring. Now look, I don't like to hit you all right off the bat. Little by little, I'm kind of giving you a little bit more and a little bit more, and as the channel grows, I'm gonna start to talk about other things too. But today, I think you need to know that if you're God's offspring, that means making the water bill is the least of your problems. In fact, it's not a problem at all. I mean, though it may be, trust me, I'm not the only one. We're all in this world, but we don't need to be ruled by it. We don't need to be controlled by it. We can actually be in the world and not of it and thrive. And the day that we're in is the day where people like yourself need to. You need to make your home a loving home again. You need to make your children understand that they are loved and they have no need to be ashamed. You need to teach those around you by simply living your life and loving your life and shining. And guess what? When you do, when you enter into that rest, because that's the day that we're supposed to be entering in, the 7 years marked by these 2 eclipses that I've talked about, this 7 years, this time of tribulation and trying and testing, it's happening to get us to understand that God is not outside of us. In him we live and move and have our being. Whether you believe in it or not, you exist, my friend. You exist. Do you remember a time when you didn't? Do you think it's more possible that existence is all there is for you? Or would you rather believe something you have absolutely no proof of, that existence will somehow end? What if we're trapped into the system until we break free? What if the restrainer, the thing that holds us back, that beast system, is about to be chained up? I don't know if that's going to happen now, but I know that that's going to come down the road. But in all of us, it happens first. So the things that are restraining and holding you back from entering into your rest, into your potential, that the devil, the Antichrist, the one that's declaring himself to be God, standing in the temple of God, you're the temple of God. That lie, that negative thought in your head, because you've taken the mark, you just don't know it. And of course, yes, down the road, you're going to take it literally too, I'm sure. But really, the mark that's already there right now, that's the one that we need to be concerned with. So God comes and he seals us that we have a chance right now. We have a chance to be free. We have a chance. And I hope that each and every one of you are taking it. I hope that you will understand that since we are God's offspring, it's verse 29, we should not think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone or some picture of Jesus hanging in your living room made of felt or velvet. An image made by human design or skill. God is nothing like that. In the past, God overlooked all of this nonsense. He overlooked it. He understands. He got it. You were formed in the dust of the earth. You were formed. This beast system took control. He winked at it. He was okay with it. But now, listen up. I sounded like Christopher Walken when I said that. Now, I don't know. Now it's time. It's time for all of you. It's crazy. It's nuts. Now, my friend, he commands all people everywhere to repent. And repentance simply means to change your thinking, to change the direction, to forgive, to love, to stop doing things that are hurting you, to stop blaming everybody else, because everything that's happening to you is happening for you and because of you. And we're there to we're here to learn from it. We're here to learn from it so we can be set free from it, so we can repent. For God, now this is the day we're in, has set a day when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed. He has given proof to this to everyone by raising him from the dead. Now, when people heard about the resurrection of the dead, they started going, ooh, this is interesting. But what does Scripture say the dead is again? Remember? To be carnally minded is death. To be carnally minded is death. To be ignorant is death. Lazarus, though he be dead, will rise. Those that hear the words of Christ, though they be dead, will live again. How can you literally hear something if you're dead? Unless, of course, you're the walking dead. And maybe that's the reason why all of you are here today. Maybe that's the reason why all of you have found this channel. Maybe it's time we stop seeing God like this and we start understanding that the God who made this world and everything in it doesn't live in temples built by hands, and he's not served by things that you do. I don't care how many times your pastor tells you to do this or to do that. The only way is to do what Jesus said, and that is to love. Love God, love others. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think you got to understand this, and I think that all of you can be set free. So listen, I'm going to go over to the chat room now. And oh my goodness, in the super chat. Okay, Renee, Tracy, Tenko. Oh, KJ, thank you. All of you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Renee says the earth is flat. P.S. Tracy, love and blessing. Tracy, you're always so sweet. I really appreciate it. More live streams. Thank you, KJ. I appreciate it. Coming from you, that is a huge compliment because you know I'm a huge fan. And now Techno Glow, let me see. I sent a challenge to all of you. If you are like me and disconnected from mainstream, why not split among our favorite channel that we used to pay cable? Sounds like money better spent. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you. Listen, I appreciate it. I appreciate all of it. I try not to ask for help, but I'll tell you something. Listen, the day that we're in, we all get by with a little help from our friends. Soldier for Christ. This is this and your Tuesday show are the most beautiful shows of yours that you've ever watched. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. If any of you have any questions or anything else, Adriana, if my mouth tastes gravel and dust to review, oh God. Chad Johnson says thanks. Queen Conscious 1111 agreed. James Ball, you've been disconnected. I'm glad, man. I'm glad. And Melinda, I love you too. Chrissy from the UK, much love to you as well from Long Island, New York, here in the grand old US of A. I hope that you all like the live streams. I wonder if I should start doing like one at night. I don't know if that's going to be something that you all would want. I wonder if it'd be a little easier, you know. I guess it's easier for people to find us, but you know what? I'm just glad that everybody gets a chance to do this, and I'm glad you all stopped by, and I hope that this meant something to you, and I hope you understand your infinite potential, but not on your own terms. There's a very distinct difference between your infinite potential and the potential for you as who you think you are. Can't do anything of yourself. Jesus said that. He says, I can do nothing of myself. Now, like myself, like I can't do anything of myself, meaning there's something within me that is bigger than me, that is in control of everything, setting the times and the seasons and the boundaries. So I understand that if I'm meant to go right and I'm going left, things are going to get hard to push me back on course, just like the story of Jonah when he goes to Nineveh, right? Go to Nineveh, tell everybody to repent. Tell everybody to change their thinking. Tell everybody that the day is now, that it's going to get really spooky and really crazy. And tell everybody that soon Handmaid's Tales is not going to be like something that's just in science fiction, but it's really more like going to become fact. And we're already almost there. And in some countries, worse already. Some of our allies take to beheading people in the streets in the name of God. But we know God is not the God of man. I love each and every one of you. I'm gonna keep the. I'm gonna stay on the chat, and I'll answer some of you. I like to kind of type, because I'm pretty good typing. I'm a writer. I like to type pretty fast. I hope that all of you have the best day ever, and I hope you do subscribe, and I hope you do share it around. I hope you do tell your friends, and I appreciate all your insights and all your encouragement and all the awesome stories that you send me. And the Jacob, look at this. Jacob, look at that. Jacob, did you know this? I love that too. And yes, if you are having a problem, and if you keep the emails rather short, maybe a paragraph or so, is a lot easier for me to get through it. I do have a full life, 4 amazing children, 17, 16, 14, and 6. My beautiful wife, the Dan, which is why I do this now. Because I want to enjoy every aspect of my life, and I'm not gonna worship Google. I'm not gonna sacrifice. I'm not gonna lay down my life for this beast system. I'm gonna worship the Lord, the existing one of heaven and earth, the one that is in all of us, and we are God's children. Wow, man! Do you imagine you got programs, computer programs now, that are almost like aware? They probably already are. We just, we don't know about it. They're already manipulating our system and our world as we know it. That's just because people had faith that they could create such a thing. But what is in store over the next 6 years in the 7-year period? I wonder. But I'm going to be creating Eden, if you will, paradise in my own life. And I am going to be focused on reaching more. And I'm going to be focused on helping more by simply asking them to turn to the only one that can help them to begin with. I love each and every one of you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.